So, ancient Rome architecture,
What do we look at? What are we looking at?
the Colosseum.
Also known as
Um,
the Flavian Amphitheater, right? Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so topics: Roman architecture, Roman Arc, cement, Pantheon, Colosseum, aqueducts, and Roman roads.
Which one are you most interested to learn about?
Um, Most likely the Colosseum
Okay.
and the aqueducts. That seems pretty cool too.
Okay.
Okay, so columns from Greece. So they had the Doric style, the Ionic style, and the Corinthian style. Doric style is plain and unattractive, is boring. Ionic style more decorative, and Corinthian style has nice fine detail. Elaborate.
Yeah. The Romans were obsessed with the Corinthian style, at least at the beginning. Yeah. And then they had their own.
The Roman Arc, the Etruscan development. The Arc allowed for greater support. The Arc of Constantine, the Arc of Titus, led to the development of domes. And the Pantheon is the largest dome built for 18 centuries.
Yes, I'm just going to ask you to turn off your mic there. You have a little bit of an echo there, Tommy. So yes, remember Etruscan development, the Arc. Remember, so the Arc of Constantine, that's this one here, which you'll see right beside the Colosseum. Okay, Constantine, he's a very important person. We're going to learn about him later. The Arc of Titus, which is the small one here. And the Pantheon. Ooh, the Pantheon, the largest dome, which we're going to learn a little bit about here today. So the Arc, very important, starting with the Etruscans. Dina.
Cement. Cement created by the Romans. Cement used for arch, aqueduct, and road construction. Coliseum, 4-story high stadium. Aqueducts, 400 kilometers to bring fresh water to city. Roads, over 80,000 kilometers.
Wow. That's a lot of cement needed and concrete. Ooh, the big one. The Pantheon, Dina.
The Pantheon, dedicated to Jupiter and all other Roman gods, commissioned by Marcus Agrippa, admiral, biggest brick dome in history of architecture. Originally built in 25 BC, rebuilt in 126 CE by Emperor Hadrian.
Good. Yes, originally built under Augustus in 25 BC, but then rebuilt by Hadrian in 126 AD. Okay, it's the biggest brick dome in history of architecture.
Like still today?
Oh, at the time. At the time, yeah. Okay, so let me just put this here. Pantheon. And I also have just a short video on. I'm gonna take you inside the largest concrete dome. Yes, Dina. Sorry, it is still. The Pantheon Dome remains the single largest unreinforced concrete dome. Yes.
Yeah, I heard like they can't still recreate the cements they use. They thought that was like, and then they realized it was because they were using normal water and they were using seawater. And that's why it's strong.
Yeah, it is. It is absolutely amazing what they were able to accomplish with this dome. 142 feet in diameter. It is still the biggest, even than the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. Yeah, it is just. It is quite the engineering marvel called the Pantheon. Okay. Yes, thank you, Dina. Let's continue, Dina, with the Colosseum, which
The
we've learned a lot about.
The Colosseum, the Flavian Amphitheater, ACE, built during the reign of Emperor Titus, 79 to 81 CE, built over Nero's palace in Colossus, up to 55,000 spectators, two-thirds of original building removed.
Continue, Colosseum.
Seating according to gender and class, 80 entrances, including VIP, 100 days of games for opening ceremonies in ADCE, gladiatorial combat, battle reenactments, Punic Wars.
Good. If you remember, one of the battles in the Colosseum during the Gladiator was of the Second Punic War, right? So, yep, that was a common theme, reliving the Punic Wars.
They used to have like a shaped thing around it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, and aqueducts. A lot of you are wondering about aqueducts. What was it used for? Dina.
Made of stone, brick, and cement, 400 kilometers. Advanced waterway system that provided fresh water into the city, indoor plumbing, and sewer system.
So fresh water that's coming into the city from the aqueducts. Let me just put this here. Stone and brick cement. Okay. And that's how it looked. Comes in on a slope, on a certain angle, which you see here. You kind of see better here. Take a look at the Roman aqueduct. Here's the reservoir, the intake, and then it comes down the aqueduct bridge into the city. So it had to be at a perfect angle. Okay. So here's a Roman aqueduct, and here's a modern aqueduct at the bottom, right? Okay. Keep reading.
Pipes provide water to public fountains, baths, and private villas. The 1 million inhabitants in Rome had access to 1 cubic meter of water per person. Channels bored through rock relied on steady gradient and gravity, a testament to Roman engineering.
And Roman roads. What's the famous quote? All roads lead to Rome, right? Dina.
Over 80,000 kilometers of roads allowed Rome to spread its allegiance, culture, and influence. Rome was a hub of commerce, trade, politics. Speedy trade, travel, and communication throughout the empire. Postal stations along routes.
Good. So the roads would have looked something like this, right? Very similar to something like this. Okay. Okay.
Designed for military conquest, built and maintained by legions and their engineers, paid for by local cities.
So you have the stone drainage ditch on either side. You have your compacted layer of sand here, slab of stone, cement, and concrete, and then crushed in stone and cement. Okay, and then your stone blocks at the top. So this is a sophisticated road system. All right, so there you have it. The topics in this PowerPoint that we learned, the 6 engineering marvels here by the Romans. Okay, let me put that here. Next, we're going to go through Roman philosophy. Roman philosophy. We're just going to learn a little bit of important figures in ancient Rome when it comes to literature. Okay, not going to spend too much time here, but Tina, I'm going to ask Tina and Sabrina to be ready. So Tina first.
So ancient Rome literature. So Latin, the dominant written language during the Roman Empire until medieval era. Romans learned to write from the Greeks, but developed their own themes, characters, and forms. Renaissance authors often wrote in Latin and copied Latin literary works and authors.
Good. So Latin is the dominant written language. And again, a lot of the Roman culture comes from the Greeks, right? We already know that. The themes, characters, theater, etc.
Plautus, so from 254 to 184 BCE. He was a Roman playwright and he did comedy, some of the earliest surviving work of Latin literature. He modeled writings on late Greek comedies. He had musical comedies and he had used the use of satire.
Yeah, one of the earliest surviving works. He was a Roman playwright, comedy and satire. Terence.
Terence, so from 190 to 159 BCE. He was also a Roman comedic playwright. He brought to Rome as a slave. I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. Lucretius, from 99 to 55 BCE. He was a Roman poet. He believed the world to consist of only matter and void. But this, that same religion, oftener far, hath bred the foul and petties of men.
Cicero.
Cicero, so from 106 to 43 BCE. He was a Roman statesman, philosopher, lawyer, orator, and consul. He was a key player in the Roman Civil War.
Cicero, again, was a lawyer, writer, okay, famous for his orations on politics and society, as well as serving as a high-ranking council member. So he was a key, very significant person, not just as a philosopher, lawyer, but also in politics. So Cicero is definitely someone to remember. Okay. Oh. Go ahead.
Julius Caesar, from 100 to 44 BCE. He was a Roman general, politician, and author. He wrote commentaries on the Gallic War and commentaries on the Civil War. Catullus, from 84 to 54 BCE. He was a Roman poet. He was influenced by Ovid, Horace, and Virgil. So Virgil, he was alive from 70 to 19 BCE. He was a Roman poet. His three major works was Eclogues, Georgics, and the Aeneid. Aeneid is the epic. Oh, sorry, it's the epic story of Aeneas and the mythological founding of Rome.
Good, yes. He's very important. Okay, Virgil, the Roman poet. The Aeneid is the epic story of Aeneas and the mythological founding of Rome. We'll talk about this on Thursday when we learn about Roman mythology. Okay, but he's someone to remember too, Virgil. Horace?
Horace was alive from 65 to 27 BCE. He was a Roman poet and a soldier in the Battle of Philippi from 42 BCE, and he had the use of satires. Ovid, so from 43 BCE to 17 CE, he was a Roman poet of dramas and epics, and the inspiration for medieval and Renaissance writers.
Another important one, Livy.
Livy, so from 59 BCE to 17 CE, a Roman historian, wrote during the golden age of Latin, the history of Rome from the founding in the 8th century to the Augustan period.
Very important. Very important, Livy. Another important person, Seneca, right? Name you've heard before.
Yeah, Seneca from 4 BCE to 65 CE, a Roman statesman, philosopher, and dramatist. He was a he did Stoic philosophy and was a tutor and advisor to Emperor Nero. And finally, Plutarch from 45 to 125 CE, an ancient historian, studied at the Academy in Athens. He wrote The Parallel Lives, which compares Greek and Roman statesmen.
So again, this is just a very quick, short overview of some of the important historians, philosophers, okay, writers, okay. So again, some of the more important ones like Seneca, Plutarch, Livy, Virgil, okay, Cicero. Okay. So that's the PowerPoint is here. It's posted. Roman philosophers. I do have a short video on the lost city of Pompeii. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Pompeii. So let's go there. Let's go to this lost city.
On August 24th, 79 AD, the city of Pompeii was entombed by a massive eruption from Mount Vesuvius. For 2 days and nights, the volcano rained terror on all those in its path, killing almost everyone in the city. After the eruption, Pompeii was lost and forgotten for almost 1,700 years. It's hard to imagine this entire city completely buried by volcanic pyroclastic flows coming down from Mount Vesuvius. But that's exactly what happened here in 79 AD. The city was completely covered in ash and cinders, preserving the city. And it actually gives us a really good glimpse into what life was like back in ancient Roman times. Pompeii was so perfectly preserved and so carefully uncovered that walking the streets here is a surreal experience. The whole city is a window into the Roman Empire, frozen in time, at the height of its power. 300 years ago, when the unearthing of Pompeii began, 18th century archaeologists made an amazing discovery. During the eruption, the population was entombed by the volcanic ash and pumice that rained down. And when the archaeologists started excavating the site, they found these empty spaces and they filled them in with plaster. And you can actually see the features of these bodies from the ancient Pompeians. For someone who spends a lot of time around active volcanoes, it is very sobering to see the tragic results of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Okay. So now let's go to our reading, The Destruction of Pompeii. And let's go to our reading, The Destruction of Pompeii, 79 AD. I think I had said, that's okay, wrong route. Thank you for joining us. The Destruction of Pompeii, 79 AD. Actually, wrong Gru, are you there? Do you want to read for us? Are you ready to read? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, Sabrina, do you want to read?
Sure.
Awesome. So let's learn more about the destruction of Pompeii.
The destruction of Pompeii, 79 AD. On August 24th, 79, Mount Vesuvius literally blew its top, spewing tons of molten ash, pumice, and sulfuric gas miles into the atmosphere. A firestorm of poisonous vapors and molten debris engulfed the surrounding area, suffocating the inhabitants of the neighboring Roman resort cities of Pompeii, Herculaneum, and Stabiae. Tons of falling debris filled the streets until nothing remained to be seen of the once thriving communities. The cities remained buried and undiscovered for almost 1,700 years until the excavations began in 1748. These excavations continue today and provide insight into life during the Roman Empire.
Isn't that amazing? 1,700 years. Wow. Till 1748. 79. Unbelievable. Yep.
An ancient voice reaches out from the past to tell us of the disaster. This voice belongs to Pliny the Younger, whose letters describe his experience during the eruption while he was staying in the home of his uncle, Pliny the Elder. The elder Pliny was an official in the Roman court, in charge of the fleet in the area of the Bay of Naples, and a naturalist. Pliny the Younger's letters were discovered in the 16th century. Wrath of the Gods. A few years after the event, Pliny wrote to a friend, Cornelius Tacticus, describing the happenings of late August 79 AD, when the eruption of Vesuvius obliterated Pompeii, killing his uncle and almost destroying his family. At the time, Pliny was 18 and living at his uncle's villa in the town of Misenum. We pick up his story as he describes the warning raised by his mother. My uncle was stationed in Misenum, in active command of the fleet. On 24th August, in early afternoon, my mother drew his attention to a cloud of unusual size and appearance. He had been out in the sun, had taken a cold bath, and lunched while lying down, and was then working at his books. He was called for his shoes and climbed up to a place which would give him the best view of the phenomenon. It was not clear at that distance from which mountain the cloud was rising. It was afterwards known to be Vesuvius. Its general appearance can be best expressed as being like an umbrella pine, for it rose to a great height on a sort of trunk and then split off into branches. I imagine it was because it was thrust upward by the first blast, and then left unsupported as the pressure subsided, or else it was borne down by its own weight so that it spread out and gradually dispersed. In places it looked white, elsewhere blotched and dirty, according to the amount of soil and ashes carried with it.
Wow.
My uncle's scholarly acumen saw at once that it was important enough for a closer inspection, and he ordered a boat to be made ready, telling me that I could come with him if I wished. I replied that I preferred to go on with my studies. As it happened, he had himself given me some writing to do. As he was leaving the house, he was handed a message from Rectina, wife of Tascus, whose house was at the foot of the mountain, so that escape was impossible except by boat. She was terrified by the danger threatening her, and implored him to rescue her from her fate. He changed his plans, and what he had begun in a spirit of inquiry, he completed it as a hero. He gave many orders for the warships to be launched, and went on board himself with the intention of bringing help to many more people besides Rectina, for this lovely stretch of coast was thickly populated. He hurried to a place which everyone else was hastily leaving, steering his course straight for the danger zone. He was entirely fearless, describing each new movement and phase of the portent to be noted down exactly as he observed them. Ashes were already falling, hotter and thicker as ships drew near, followed by bits of pumice and blackened stones, charred and cracked by the flames, and then suddenly they were in shallow water, and the shore was blocked by the debris from the mountain.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much, Sabrina. David, are you with us, David? Okay, David. For a moment. Almost done. Wow. So that's it. August 24th, 79, Mount Vesuvius, the destruction of Pompeii, 79 AD. Okay. That's an eye view witness of history. Right there, the destruction of Pompeii. Okay. All right. So that's going to leave us now with some classwork, textbook work now. We haven't gone through the textbook in a while. So I posted this under the comments section. Okay. So this is going to be in-class work because I know a lot of you have your journals to write. So I will keep it simple. Okay. Let me just post this here. And thank you, David and Sabrina. Excellent reading. Thank you. So what you're going to do for me is using Echoes from the Past, which is the reading that I posted here. Many of you have textbooks. So using this text right here, I would like you to read pages, 10 pages, 203 to 213. Okay. It's on Roman architecture and Pompeii. I want you to take notes in the package, right? Or on a separate sheet, this package that I created for you. Okay. And then answer the 3 questions, pretty easy questions, 1 to 3 on page 213. Okay, so you're going to read the 10 pages on Roman architecture, take notes, and answer 3 questions. This will be classwork, okay, because I know many of you have your journals to write, so you can also work on that too. Okay. All right, any questions before I let you start working? Okay, so again, here's the textbook, Rome, Echoes. Here's the note handout. And that's it. Okay. All right, so if there's no questions, you can get to work.